All right, so I wanted to give you, I guess, another little bonus tutorial video here about how we could be thinking about creating forms for our totem pole pieces. Okay, so you've seen the slab demonstration where we use an inner form to create that cylinder sort of shape. I did want to think about maybe more spherical forms and how we might want to think about that. Okay, so here I have about an apple size of clay. I've wedged this up and it's ready to go. Okay, and so how I want to think about those spherical forms is if I took this piece of clay, just like this solid piece of clay, and I put it in the kiln, again, this would probably explode. This is just too thick. The inner clay at the very center probably will never have a chance to dry out, and so that moisture, when fired, will turn to steam and explode. Okay, so I have to make this hollow inside. And just like our slabs, I want to think about the thickness of my thumb is about the max thickness that I want to achieve. Okay, so how I want to do that is again, starting with about this apple size, I'm going to try to split this in half. Okay, so you could use a wire cutting tool if you wanted to. I usually just twist the clay until I get about two even pieces. Okay, now really this is a pretty simple technique, but it's really just making two equal pinch pots. Some of you have made pinch pots before, some haven't, but I want to start with the ball, and I'm just going to use my thumb and my fingers here, okay, and just by squeezing a little bit, and then I also turn it constantly. So I'm constantly turning my clay and giving a little pinch, so I'm starting to create a little bowl shape. And I'm just, again, I'm pinching with my fingers here and my thumb on the inside. I don't want to go too fast. I want to keep my walls even, so I'm just slowly turning. You can see it's starting to open up. Okay, and this would actually be probably fine. My thickness is about my thumb, but I want it to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to pinch a little bit more. The trick with this technique is that you don't want your walls to get too thin, especially on the rim where we're going to combine these two pieces. If it's really thin here, it tends to crack and break, and it's going to give you some trouble later. So again, I'm keeping it at a decent thickness here. Not too thin, but I just want to make sure it's even all around. Okay, so there's my first pinch pot. Okay, I'll try to get my second one here, and I want to get it about as even as possible. Okay, so go ahead and pinch, pinch, pinch. And again, this is super important that I turn it the whole time. If I just pinch without turning it, then I get uneven walls. It just really doesn't work out so well. Okay. So here we go. That's pretty quick, but not bad. Now let me just, I like to do a test, make sure that lines up okay. I can see that this one's a little bit bigger, but that's okay, not by much, okay? All right, so a little trick here, okay? And I like to think of, if I cut this in half, you would see a cross section of my pinch pot, right? Okay, what I wanna do is just, before I attach these, I wanna extend the rim out slightly, okay? And I do that, all right, just like this. All right, because I think about it, if I have my walls extended and I put those together, I can always push those in to get my spherical form, okay? But what I see a lot, what happens is if our rim goes in, right, like this, and we put that together, now I can't get on the inside to pop those walls out. I'm stuck with that kind of peanut or H shape. Okay, but if I start like this and I attach it, I can always bring that in, but it's just really hard. It's impossible to push that clay out, right? Because we can't get to the inside. So I'm gonna again just angle this rim out, okay? Just like that. All right, now my clay is really soft, and so I probably don't need slip, but what I will do is just give it a score. And really, really light water. Okay, I don't want to put too much water, else it'll be really slippery. But just a little bit of water is going to help it bind. Okay, so really, really little bit of water. Okay, now I'm going to bring these two pieces together. Again, trying to match them up as much as I can. That's good. Okay, and then I'm just gonna slowly make sure that that's gonna be compressed. Okay, good. Now is when I want to hide that seam, so I don't want to see that in the end. So I'm going to use my thumb, and if there's one side that's a little bit bigger, that's the side that I pull into the smaller side. And you can see I can just start to blend that clay in. So I'm just going to move that clay around until I feel like it closes that gap. Okay, now I'm going to continue to refine this. Again, I'm going to continue to go around, smooth this clay, and try to hide that seam. Okay, so that seam is pretty well hidden. And now I can start to form this a little bit. What's really nice is that the air inside acts kind of as a mold, right? It has, it's gonna keep those walls pushed out. Okay, so I can kind of move this around. I can't give it a ton of pressure, right? But I can start to form this now, and I can make that perfect sphere if that's what I want. I could also make this into kind of a, I don't know, a head form. If I start to think about creating a chin, right? We can start to see maybe a head start to form out of that. I could, put some eye sockets in there. Okay, and I could start to add my details of the head form. Okay, so again, that's how we would want to make spherical shapes or head shapes like this so that they don't explode in the kiln. Okay, so we could explore this mode of making as well.